How do you feel about the fact that if you went back in time to kill baby Hitler, you wouldn't get credit for anything, and you'd just be that guy who killed a baby? Everybody always puts this question out there about killing baby Hitler. Why not just cockblock his dad? Keep his parents from ever meeting? Lots of ways to make sure he doesn't exist in the first place. And that being said, to stop Hitler or anyone else who might create fascist Germany, you really have to stop World War I from happening, or at least change the script on it enough that it doesn't end with a setup for World War II, in Europe at least. What if time travellers already did this a number of times, killing a dozen or so worse than Hitlers in their infancy before the machine broke down, or the temporal prime directive police caught up with them? You don't need to. When Hitler was a kid, he nearly drowned in a river and a guy passing saved his life. So all you have to do is go back in time and interrupt that guy before he gets to the river. People don't understand the ramifications of killing anyone in the past, let alone one of the most evil and famous men to step foot on this earth. Killing Hitler creates a new timeline, and so many people won't be born because of it. In fact, most of the Jews alive today wouldn't be alive if Hitler was killed as a baby, so many people wouldn't meet. I was watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and when they were time travelling, they said make ripples, not waves. Didn't end well, by the way. And killing Hitler is a fucking tsunami. The question, would you kill Hitler, is wrong in itself. Yes, you would be known as the guy who killed a baby. That's it. But the problem is that killing one Hitler would mean nothing. There were not one, not two, not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of Hitlers. Hitler did not invent fascism or anti-Semitism. His absence would not remove the underlying political movements and ideologies that led to his rise to power. There were millions of Hitlers waiting to rise to power. So you would have to kill millions of Hitlers and you'd get credit for killing so many people, so that would make you the Hitler? Too long didn't read. You become Hitler. The problem is, killing baby Hitler doesn't change Germany at this moment in time. If it wasn't Hitler, it could have been someone else. Even if you succeed in wiping out the early NSDAP, some other group would fill the void. Additionally, Paul von Hindenburg's political accommodations with Nazis played a significant role in their rise. I suppose I see the issue not so much as killing baby Hitler, but as how do you stop German extremism from boiling over after World War I? To be fair, Hitler did a lot for our society. Being the bad example is something everyone overlooks. If someone gave me the chance to kill baby Hitler, I wouldn't do it because it's something necessary for our society to develop. It probably would have happened something else anyway. Maybe it already happened. Someone went back in time and killed some evil dude when he was still a baby. He comes back to the present only to find out some other dude, called Hitler, had stepped up in his place. I believe that the Holocaust was inevitable, and that killing baby Hitler would only make it happen further in the future with more advanced killing technology, so I would be worried. Why even kill baby Hitler? He hasn't done anything wrong to you or anyone. You have a chance to actually make things better for everyone, and you choose to kill the one person who hasn't done anything wrong. Yet, but still. Just take him away from his family and give him a better life. Take him to a psychologist in the modern day. Raise him to be a better person instead of a cold-blooded murder of a child. By the way, it'll be a bummer if I ever kill someone without getting recognition for it. This will be buried, but don't kill him. He wasn't raised correctly. His mother was too much of a soft parent, while his dad was too harsh all the time. If baby Adolf was raised correctly, or just accepted into art school, there's a very good chance he would never become the genocidal leader he was. And this is coming from someone who is Jewish. There was a sci-fi short story that had an element of this to it. The guy goes back in time to kill people before they were born. He kills the mother, sometimes the father. The last paragraph is him musing that sometimes he has these dreams that maybe he doesn't really travel through time and that he's just killing random people because he feels like it. But no, he's pretty sure he's a time traveller. Hitler's father was apparently a well-respected customs officer, if a terrible father and husband in real life. Nonetheless, the local papers would most certainly have a field day that this well-respected customs officer's baby was murdered in cold blood. They did not know what they knew in 1889. So it would have been a major scandal, and my head would be on the line. I have a question or two of my own. Is it implied that time travel is a one-way trip, or do I come back to my timeline? Would others be aware that the world has changed suddenly, or would this create a new timeline? If this is a Back to the Future-like plot, I would have more trouble accepting that I killed a baby, and I like to think that eventually convince myself it was an act for greater good that saved millions of lives. This raises more questions for me though. Does World War II not occur? And due to that, do we not get the advancement of radio navigation and landing, penicillin, synthetic rubber, radio? Does humankind still achieve spaceflight and computer technology? Do hydrogen bombs never deploy in Japan? Does this set us back technologically 10 to 60 years? Would this also slow or prevent internet and cell phones coming to fruition? There's a lot riding on this, and those are just the things I can think of. So I would be uncredited with not only killing baby Hitler, but also the potential responsibility of stunting technological advancement for humankind while also saving millions. This is an unenviable problem to solve and a real mind-bender. I've thought about that one before, and the law of unintended consequences ensures that we could never have a foolproof plan. Considering the USSR was Marxist already, and how close we came to disaster several times in the Cold War, maybe not having World War II as a cautionary tale would have been the straw that broke the camel's back. Sure, if I'd went back in time, I'd be a new person with no family or social circle. No one would know me, where to find me, or even notice if I skipped town. No DNA testing, no databanks, much easier to fake documents. It was so much easier to get away with murder back then. And you know what? I'm fully aware that I may blip out of existence, or someone else may take Hitler's place, causing the whole thing to be inconsequential. I don't even care if it would probably happen. 6 million lives are absolutely worth taking even a slim chance. At the same time, if somebody killed a baby today, would people's first instinct be to say, hey, maybe that guy's a time traveller from the future who's killing his Hitler. Good for him. It probably shouldn't be. Because if you go back in time and kill baby Hitler, you would just be a guy who killed a baby. A baby is innocent. A baby is nothing but potential for a human life, all of it as yet unrealised. It would be the same as if you killed Hitler as a child or even a young man. His crimes were as yet uncommitted. He had yet to even be radicalised to the ideology he later embraced. He was not yet the villain, so you would simply be murdering an innocent person. Why not instead go back in time, get baby Hitler into a family with parents who hugged him a little more, or maybe bribe the art school to cut him some slack so he stays in his studies? Or have the bar in Vienna shut down, where he encountered the ruffians who would become the Nazi inner circle? There are an awful lot of things you can do that could prevent disaster without killing someone who was, at least at the point when you killed them, an innocent person. I would love to see a movie where the protagonist is a boy who in another reality became a Hitler-type leader, but instead a time traveller kidnapped him at birth and raised him in secret to steer him away from that path. The plot would be that at some point in his teenage years, he stumbles upon his parents' secret, like a box of papers with information about the other timeline, and that he was sent back in time to prevent his rise to power. Then the movie would be about the kid coming to terms with the monster that he could have become. Maybe there's a tropey twist where he still grows up to become that evil leader. I don't know. I bet we would be overpopulated right now if World War II would not have happened. As it is, Earth is already overpopulated. If not someone would have started World War II, who knows? Maybe someone else already killed someone worse during time travel and now we are here with just the free world. What if in that timeline one country was already ruling the world and that time traveller already changed everything for Hitler to have started World War II and be defeated? That time traveller didn't get any credit because he altered everything. Now, when you see that psychopath that murdered like 12 kids and is smiling in his mugshot, there's always the thought of that he could be a time traveller who went back and stopped the 12 people who designed Skynet, or a new plague, or start a racist uprising that murders billions. In World War I, Hitler was found by some British soldiers who decided to let him live because he was alone and they were feeling generous. So instead of going back in time to kill baby Hitler, I'd go back in time to join those British dudes who found him and make sure they kill him. I think about this all the time. It's important to remember that Adolf lived through the entirety of World War I, which was the bloodiest and most horrifying war humans have ever carried out. He returned home to find that all of Europe was blaming him and his friends for all the atrocities of that war. He spoke out against that sentiment and found a scapegoat in his nation's bankers. He was imprisoned for entirely political reasons, where he met and adopted the ideas of legitimately hardcore extremists. He also wrote a book, mostly out of boredom and frustration. When he got out, he started a movement that spoke to the people who still loved the idea of being German. By the time he found legitimate power and influence, he was surrounded by evil people, all the while being pumped up by Dr. Feelgood drugs, which were basically meth, heroin, and cocaine. Of course the Nazis were wrong. Hitler was wrong about the Jews, and his vision for a unified Europe was perverted beyond reason. But he was still a person. He was not born hating anyone. The evil that lived inside of him can be brought out of any one of us.